When you simplify competition, the ultimate goal is to win. The ultimate goal in the NBA is to hoist that Larry O'Brien trophy at the end of the season. In that moment, they're on top of the world, but the summer passes quickly and all of a sudden, a brand new season is upon us. A championship is a championship in the moment, but not all championships are the same. When we reflect on the history of the NBA, we talk about the legacy that these players and these championship teams leave behind. Some championships are more valuable than others. Some championships are improbable for some, expected for others. The 2023 NBA playoffs has been nothing short of magical, as we have seen some incredible moments in the first round. Lower seed upsets, 50-point performances, playoff droughts snapped, and plenty more. As we head into the second round, 8 teams remain, and all 8 teams have some major implications that could positively affect the legacies of some individuals, but the franchises themselves. Let's take a deep dive into the history of the teams and what some of these iconic players could accomplish. First, let's take a look at the Los Angeles Lakers. The Los Angeles Lakers are embarking on their 63rd playoff run, this year as the 7th seed. They handled their first round matchup with the Memphis Grizzlies in 6 games. It's unfortunate that Memphis was ravaged with injuries, as that has been a theme in the playoffs so far. Regardless, this playoff run is major for not only the Lakers, but some of the individuals on this team. LeBron James, at the ripe age of 38, is on his 16th playoff run and has accomplished a lot in the postseason. In his career, LeBron is first in points with 7,764. He's second in assists with 1,950, just trailing Magic Johnson. He's first in games played with 272. He's first in minutes played with 11,258. He's second all-time in triple-doubles, and he's first in win shares, blowing the competition away. MJ, who's in second, is well behind LeBron. LeBron has been around for a while and has been successful for a while. Once again, LeBron has a legitimate shot to compete for an NBA championship, which would be his 5th in his career if he was to accomplish that feat. Many people consider LeBron the greatest to ever lace him up. Another championship, perhaps another Finals MVP, could help him further the distance between him and the competition. Not only that, but a second championship with the Lakers will mark banner number 18 for Los Angeles, which will be the most in all of the NBA. Joining LeBron in the pursuit of legacy is Anthony Davis. When you think of the greatest power forwards, you think of Tim Duncan, maybe Dirk Nowitzki. Another championship for AD, you might have to reconsider which power forward you think of first. Between LeBron and AD, there's a lot of winning, but you can't really say that for the rest of the team. With the exception of Tristan Thompson, a lot of these guys have never been a part of a championship team. This would not only be a great experience for them, but would solidify them in NBA history. The Lakers have a lot on the line, but so do their second round opponents. Stephen Curry just came off of a career-best 50 points in a Game 7 on the road, eliminating the Sacramento Kings. That 50-point performance marks the highest point total in playoff history in a Game 7. Stephen Curry and the Warriors are on the hunt for their 5th championship in the last 9 years. The last team to do that was the dynasty of the 90s, the Chicago Bulls. If they win a championship this year, the Warriors would further solidify their legacy as one of the most dominant dynasties ever assembled. This would also mark their second repeat, as they repeated during the 17 and 18 playoffs. Another championship for Curry, and all of a sudden he's going to fly up the all-time rankings. Steph would join rare company with 5 rings, along with some teammates that have been along his side the entire way in Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Andre Iguodala. Plenty of discussion would have to be had. Is Stephen Curry the greatest point guard to ever do it? Does Steph Curry crack the top 5 players of all time? The conversation now would have to be entertained. Some say his former teammate has diminished some of those championships, but his former teammate and his new team are chasing some newfound legacy of their own. The Phoenix Suns advanced to the second round after defeating the LA Clippers, another unfortunately banged up squad, as they have a lot on the line this postseason. Chris Paul is recognized as one of the greatest point guards to ever play in the league, but his career is also defined by coming up short in the postseason. Chris Paul is in his 18th season and has embarked on his 15th playoff run. He is certainly not aging like LeBron, as his production at this stage of his career is starting to cool off. After this playoff run, we're looking at a contract year for Chris Paul, which could mark the end of his playing career as he heads for 40 years old. Ultimately, that's his decision. But this year could be one of his last real shots competing for a championship as a real contributor to the team. Kevin Durant, on the other hand, has had a lot of experience winning and still is playing extremely well. Durant is a two-time champ from his time in Golden State, where he and the Warriors decimated the league at every opportunity that was given to them. I think if you ask most people, there certainly is some type of stink on those championships, if you know what I mean. KD winning a championship separate from those guys, I believe history will look fondly upon that. Devin Booker is young, just at the age of 26, and so far this year is having one of the best playoff runs we've ever seen. Over 6 games, he's averaging 35.5 points, 6.7 assists, and grabbing 4.8 rebounds while shooting 59.1% from the field, 45% from 3, and 86% from the free throw line. D-Book has a lot of playoffs ahead of him, but it's easy to say this is one of the most competitive teams he's ever been a part of. Phoenix is longing to return to the finals after their loss to Milwaukee in 2021, as the Suns are still hunting for their first championship in franchise history. The Denver Nuggets, the Suns' opponents, are in the same boat as them. The Denver Nuggets are back in the postseason for the 38th time in their franchise's history. The last time Denver was in the finals was in 1976. This year, they are once again led by the two-time MVP in Nikola Jokic. The Nuggets have struggled with injury issues over the last few years, and you could argue that this is the best lineup they've had in the playoffs since the last time they went to the conference finals in 2020. Jokic, as a back-to-back MVP, is one of only 2 in NBA history who have not been to the finals as of now, in company with Steve Nash. Jokic has received a lot of criticism for the Nuggets' shortcomings in the playoffs. I'd say a large majority of that is unfair. This year, Jokic has a chance to quiet a lot of the critics depending on how far he could take his squad. As of now, they already have taken 1 game off of the Suns and look like they could be the favorites to represent the West in the finals. As we take a look out into the Eastern Conference, things are fairly interesting out there too. The Miami Heat has already accomplished what many deemed was improbable, as the Heat knocked off the Bucks in the first round in just 5 games. They have become the 6th team to knock off the 1 seed and are the only 8 seed to do it in 5 games ever since they made the first round a 7-game series. This Miami squad has been hot and cold all year long, one of the worst offensive teams in the entire association during the regular season. In the playoffs, they have been straight up dominant. We all know how great Jimmy Butler has been, but even including him, this Heat squad has 0 All-Stars. Over 6 games, Jimmy has been averaging an absurd 35.5 points, shooting 58.5% from the field, just shy of 43% from the three-point line, and 73% from the free throw line. The Heat have already taken 1 game from the Knicks on their home floor, but unfortunately, Jimmy suffered an ankle injury and his status is remained to be seen for Game 2. Over the last couple years, Jimmy has solidified himself as one of the best playoff performers we have ever seen. In his one finals appearance against the Lakers in the bubble, he averaged 26 points, just about 10 assists and 8 boards, while also grabbing a little over 2 steals on some great shooting, 55% from the field, 31% from 3, and 89% from the charity stripe. As great as Jimmy has been, he has never won a championship. Winning a championship would solidify him as one of the greats and will make history. No 8 seed has ever won a championship, and only one 8 seed has ever made it that far, and that was the 99 Knicks going to the finals but losing to the San Antonio Spurs. Jimmy's first ring, Miami's first ring in the post-Big 3 era, the first ever 8 seed to win it all, that would be remarkable. Their opponent, the New York Knicks, also have a chance of doing something really special. The New York Knicks have a chance to win their first championship in 50 years. They last won in 1973 when the squad was led by Walt Frazier, which was a lifetime ago. You could argue that the New York Knicks fan base is one of the most passionate in all of the world of sports, as they are rabid for success of the team. Outside of the Carmelo years with some fringe playoff success, the New York Knicks have been aimless for the better part of 2 decades. Even though they are down 1 game to the Heat, to me, the East is still wide open. If they handle their business, they have a shot to make it to the conference final, which I don't think anyone could have expected to be possible for this Knicks team before the season started. After the Bucks fell in the first round, it really opened the door to everybody. This would be the first time since the 2000 season they have made it this far, and I believe it will be success in its own right. The Knicks have only won 2 championships in the franchise's history, and adding to that total this year would be incredible. On the other side of the Eastern Conference bracket, we have another historic rivalry taking place in the second round. The Boston Celtics have been on the majestic hunt for banner number 18 since 2008. Between then and now, a lot of great talent has come through the city. For the past 6 years, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have led the charge for the Celtics. The Celtics are the highest seed left in the conference, and many have heralded as the favorite to represent the East again, as they fell short last year to the Golden State Warriors. Currently, the Celtics are tied with the Lakers for the most championships in league history. There's a legitimate chance this year that we could see both of these teams square off in the finals. A storied rivalry since the inception of the NBA. Now that will be a fun finals matchup to watch. As talented as this Boston team is, none of these guys have ever won a championship. Tatum is just 24, Jalen is just 26. A majority of these guys were just there last year, but nobody on the team has ever gotten the job done. A lot of the players have experienced deep playoff runs, lots of regular season success, so I can only imagine finally getting over the hump and winning it all would be like getting the proverbial monkey off of their backs for this Celtics team. And finally, my boys, the Philadelphia 76ers. Where do I even begin? The Philadelphia 76ers have not been past the second round since 2001. They have been to the playoffs 6 straight times now since 2018, and they now have another shot of advancing to the Eastern Conference Finals. Unfortunately, this is on the heels of another Joel Embiid injury in the playoffs, which is going to make this all extremely complex for them to succeed. Joel is likely to win MVP this year, so as far as legacy is concerned, this could be a big run for Joel. Getting over the hump versus the Celtics, a team that has routinely kicked Philadelphia's ass for a decade now, all while winning MVP, would likely be pretty sweet for him. Joining him in postseason struggles is James Harden. You could argue that Harden is the greatest player to ever play who has not won a championship quite yet. With Joel falling to injury once again, that road just got a lot harder for him. Time and time again, Harden has talked about how badly he wants to win, and it's why he ended up in Philadelphia alongside Joel. Against Boston, a team that has a lot of answers for him defensively, this is a good shot for James to prove his worth. Harden's peak aligned with one of the greatest teams ever assembled in Golden State with Kevin Durant, which was unfortunate, but at the end of the day, he's come up short. Harden hasn't been to the finals since 2012 when he was the 6th man for the OKC Thunder a long time ago. This year will be one of Harden's best chances to return to the finals as a major contributor, as mileage, wear and tear has begun to creep up on Harden's body. These 2023 playoffs have been so much fun to watch, as they now involve a lot of history, as there is plenty of legacy talk on the line for these teams and players. Only time will tell as the playoffs continue, as only one squad can occupy the throne at the end of the road.